Let's dive into an important concept, the difference between buyers and users. This distinction is quite crucial for understanding your customers more deeply and tailoring your strategies effectively. We will break it down with some real-world examples. You must be thinking that person who buys the product becomes the buyer. Yes, somebody who pays for the product is the customer, and the person who uses the product is of course the user. There are 3 examples that we are going to pick up. Let's start with Byju's. It is an online learning platform. I'm sure that most of us are aware of what Byju's used to do. Who is paying for using this platform and who is using the platform itself? So it is this K-12 students. So students are the users, and who pays for this online app? Of course, it's the parents. So parents are the buyers and students are the users. Now let's look into Samsung purchasing 1,000 AC gas filling mechanics for their service staff. Who buys on behalf of the company? It is the decision maker. Who is the decision maker here? The Chief Finance Officer. So the buyer is the Chief Finance Officer who is making the purchasing decision and approving the expenditure. The user, however, is the Chief Engineer. Therefore, remember, for Samsung here, the user is the person who is making the decision and approving the expenditure, while the user is a chief engineer who is going to use the product. Let's get into the example of Google. You and I constantly use Google. So who are we? We are web users. Now, you get to see a lot of advertisements while you are actually surfing, isn't it? Now, who is paying for this Google to run ads? These advertisers are the buyers for Google. Hope it's now very clear. Buyer is the person who pays. User is the person who is using the product. And of course, as an entrepreneur, it is very important for you to even understand who is making the purchasing decision and who is even approving the purchasing decision. And there we go. You should therefore clearly know who will use our product or service. The person who actually interacts with your product or service. When you know your user, what they need, what their pain points are, and what they enjoy, you can design a product that speaks directly to them. Understanding your user ensures that solution you build is something they will actually want to use. So who will pay us? Now it's the buyer. This is the person or the organization that's going to make the purchase. It might not be the same user, right? A classic example that you will never forget is a father buys diapers for the child. Child is the user. Now, the buyer cares about the things like value, price, safety, ROI of the product. So by understanding the buyer's concern, a mom's concern or a father's concern in the diaper example that I gave you, you can actually position your product in a way that it appeals to the needs and justifies the money that they are spending out of their pocket. The last one that you should be very clear is who will approve the decision to pay us. Don't forget the approver. This is the person who has the final say. It could be a CFO, it could be a manager, or anyone who actually has the authority to approve the budget. Understanding their priorities. Say, a company like Zoho is selling its HR SaaS product to an CHRO of a company. What would be the objective of the CHRO while he is selecting a SaaS company for his HR services? The CHRO might be looking at cost effectiveness, probably looking at operational efficiency. Therefore, remember, while you're tailoring your pitch to sell your product to the approver of an organization, it is really, really important for you to pitch it to get a green light on what is probably the priority of the person who is deciding on the purchase. So by answering these questions, who will use it, who will pay for it, and who will approve, you can create a product or a service that fits your user needs, appeals to your buyers, and gets the approval it needs to move forward. Knowing your customer inside and out is the key for developing a right solution.